So here's my confession. This time, I just want you to look away, be your obsession. I want to be your obsession.
Good, I would say morning, but it's actually afternoon, isn't it, Aaron? So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Good Podcast. It's Russ way back again, coming to you live and crazy from the gorgeous, as I always say, the well accoutrement Alive and Social Network Studios here in Minneapolis. And of course, sitting across from me is the ever handsome Aaron Troe. Say hello, Aaron.
Hello.
I think you need to become my Robin, so to speak. Do you know what I mean when I'm saying that?
I do. I think Robin's a lot more talented than me.
No, I would not agree with you on that. What I think, what I want for this is I want you to have more interaction. So keep your microphone there.
All right.
I want us to have a little bit more conversation moving forward. I think all of my ravenous fans want to know more about you and get opinions from you. So if you do have an opinion about something, chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to ask your opinion so that way you don't have to move the microphone all the time. Does that work?
Okay.
Yes,
okay,
it does
we'll
work.
See.
So, happy Friday, everybody. I'm coming off one of the most amazing, orgasmic weeks ever. I'm so thrilled. I was in Chicago this week. I had an opportunity to go back to WGN in Chicago. WGN is a superstation, which means that it airs nationally. And it's owned by the Tribune Company. Tribune something. Anyways, they own the Chicago Tribune. It's huge. And if you have cable television, you can get WGN or you can stream WGN Live. And I had been on the station years ago. I don't remember if I talked about this. Aaron, did I discuss this before?
I mean, you discussed that you were going to be on it this week. I don't remember. I've heard you talking about being on it previously. I can't remember if it was on the show.
Sure. Well, I'd been on the show before. Traveling back and forth. I always drive because I was cooking back then, but I wasn't cooking. And so, but it was just too much. It was just too much for me to be driving back and forth. And then, fortunately, of course, I was able to, or not, of course, I always sound so arrogant when I say that, or when I say obviously, and I don't mean to be. I'm saying those words in my head.
Like Donald Trump.
And I say it out loud, which is the problem. So I'll say, well, of course, or obviously, because in my head, I'm going, that's so stupid of you, like everybody already knows that, and you're repeating yourself, and then I just say it out loud, which then makes me sound like I'm a tool. And I was actually called a tool last week by somebody, but they liked that about me, which was kind of interesting. But regardless, I'd been on the station before, and my goal was really to get back there, to me, and in what it is that I do. In my line of work, it's promote. You're constantly having to promote yourself. You're constantly having to tell people, oh, look at me. This person validated me here. And look at me. I was on this station. And that's another validation of my work. And because everybody wants to have a piece of someone or work with someone who everybody else likes, so to speak. So I know people hate it, or some people may get it wrong when I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm here, or I was there, or I'm going to be here, and or this is where I'm going to be tomorrow, because it may come across as I think that I'm the greatest thing, but it's really my line of work. And
got to do it.
Right, you have to do it. And so, I feel bad, and I just want people to know that it's not that I think that I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's because it's just my work. I have to continually keep promoting myself in an effort to get my name out there. So I wanted to get back on WGN. Became friends with the executive producer on Facebook, knew that he did not like Fox. Like, that came out right away watching his wall, that he hated Fox. And I'm thinking, oh, great, this is not going to go well for me. But watched his wall, and he's actually really cute. I'm going to assume he's straight. But if he's not, and he's listening, know that I find you very attractive. And Anyway, so I finally reached out to him. It's like, okay, I have to, and I kept putting it off, Aaron. I was so scared believe it or not, I was scared. And there was something that was, I don't know, kind of like, I think there's that point or that part inside of all of us where when something actually is within your grasp that can be like a dream fulfilled, so to speak, you're like, oh, fuck. If they say yes, then I actually have to step up to the plate. I've got to ball up. And what if I ball up, but then it's a failure? You know what I mean? And so I finally just like closed my eyes and I clenched my fists, so to speak. And I sent him a message actually on Facebook. Or maybe it was an email. I don't remember. I mean, I knew the email combination having been there before, but should I say obviously? But I didn't know what to expect, like when he messaged me back right away and was like, oh, yeah. And I had sent him a couple pitches right away. So, and he came back to me and was like, you know what? Nope, I only like one of these, which is what I loved. Like, I'm not Minnesotan, so to speak. I am Minnesotan, but the one thing that I'm not is I'm very direct. I just cut through the bullshit, say it. You're never going to offend me. And because I can appreciate that. We all have such little time in our lives, you know. You're busy, Aaron. I know. You've got a Rolodex of things that you're constantly trying to accomplish throughout the day.
Right.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, just get to the point or get to the bone with me, so to speak, or the meat with me. So that way I know what it is that you're looking for. Because this is literally what it's like at that level. Like, don't bullshit around with me. You say, this is what I need, this is what I'm missing, or this is what I'm looking for. And then you either can do it or you don't. You can't go, oh, well, that's what he's looking for, then that's what I need to be. You have to know that that's you, or you got to walk away from it, regardless of, you know, what it is that you're getting yourself into. So, you know, it was really, and it was almost kind of like for a day there, I didn't really know, was this going to happen, wasn't going to happen. And then, of course, I found out that, you know, he was biting it. He liked the idea. One of the ideas that I pitched him was about featuring men's gifts. But what was interesting about him as a producer is that he was the first producer that I'd actually ever dealt with that was so super involved, like wanted to know not only what are you going to be featuring, and then would throw back at me, no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. That's not interesting. That doesn't seem exciting. What's special about that? And I love the challenge. Like, I love it when people challenge me that way and make me think. Because as you know, as an expert, especially at Fox, I mean, I'm given carte blanche, and I do take my role at Fox very seriously. There's been a few times I'm going to readily admit I have totally phoned it in. I've realized the morning of, oh, this is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm a horrible planner when it comes to what I'm going to talk about on TV, because for me, I always want to go with what I think I'm so really inspired by. And surprisingly enough, there's been so many segments that I've received a lot of response from, and a lot, you know, like, we're not talking millions, but a lot of response from people because it's timely, you know. I feel like if you plan everything out months and months in advance, you can't capture sometimes something that's really timely. Am I making sense?
Totally.
Okay. So I love the fact that he, you know, was doing this. And my whole career since I've started doing this has basically been, I've walked to the edge of a cliff and I've jumped off the cliff every day. Sometimes it's like every hour, and I fall flat on my face and I walk up the hill again and I jump off the cliff. That's what I've been doing for 8 years. Wondering, what the fuck am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Because this whole process hasn't been something where there's been any guarantee, there's been any certainty, there's been any, you know, I don't punch a time clock, I don't get a paycheck every other week or every, you know, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Like, I've done this all not getting paid. So think about that. Think about working for 8 years and not getting paid for it.
Yikes.
Right. And wondering, am I doing the right thing? You know, so yeah, I'm just absorbing even what I just said, because it's kind of like, that is really kind of crazy, isn't it? No wonder people think I'm crazy. So, but but the producer got back to me, with the final set, and then how was all going to be placed on the table. And I've done it enough so that I have somewhat of an idea of how you should place things, and it's good for them. They want to know, so that way they can call it's called a chyron. So anytime when you're looking at the screen and you see them say like Aaron Tro at the bottom when you're on there, that's called a chyron, but it's spelled like it's CHYRON is how it's spelled. Don't ask me. I've never researched that word and what it means or anything like that, the origins of it.
I think that was one of the characters in the new Star Wars movie.
Is it?
Chiron.
I know you've seen it, and we'll have to touch on that. I'm not a Star Wars geek, so to speak. But what is it? Under Armour has some shit, of course, in spandex or in compression gear, and I totally want that. Do you have it?
No, but Star Wars is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
crazy.
It's absolutely everywhere. So chose the list. It was what am I trying to say here? And I was really just kind of waiting to hear back from him about a date. And so I threw out some dates to him. Again, it was that I was really scared. I just kept getting really, really like, oh my God, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Because for me to be in Chicago is considered the third market, what do you call it? The number 3 market in this country. And so for someone I love talking about this. I just need to say this because I know that I'm absolutely insane, but this is literally a stream of consciousness for me. I have not, since I've gotten back, had the opportunity to actually feel and experience what has happened to me this last week. So it's a little weird because anybody that and not that I don't love the people that I've talked to, but anybody that I've talked to doesn't get. I don't have anyone within my circle of influence or, within my, whatever you call it, my bubble, my Mariah Carey bubble. I don't have anybody else that does what I do, so to speak. So there's really no one to kind of get it. So I'm hoping, that all of you do, regardless. So I threw out some dates and was thinking, you know what, he's going to get back to me because I literally waited. It was like I was trying to fuck it up.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? And so I waited until the last minute because in the back of my mind, when I sent it out, I thought, you know what? We're so close to the holidays now. He's going to get back to me and say, I'm sorry, I'm booked. That's what I wanted to hear.
Right.
Because then you fucked yourself over. And he got back to me and he's like, how about this day? And it was like 2 weeks later. Actually almost 2 weeks. And I thought, oh my God, this is actually really happening. And so I was like, sure. And I'm thinking, okay, now I have to figure out how the hell I'm going to get there. Where am I going to stay? I mean, luckily I didn't have food, so everything. And I'd pick things that I knew. I mean, they'd fit in my trunk, and so it wasn't that big of a deal. And I've driven to Chicago tons of times. Have you ever driven to Chicago?
Yeah, I have a couple of times.
It's a great drive. It's really not all that awful.
It's not too bad.
No, it's not that bad at all. I think it was, well, technically, if you do the whole thing, I think it's like 6 hours, 6.5 hours. It took a lot longer both of these times, but I can explain why. And so subsequently, I got myself prepared. Of course, I started promoting it and talking as much as possible about it because, again, I'm also friends now with this producer on Facebook. So, and that's also another thing. Like, I'm going, has he been looking at my wall? Has he seen the naked pictures I post of myself? Just like, how much does this guy really know about me? And so the morning of, I'm literally posting on Facebook I think it was the night before, actually, I said that I was going to be leaving in the morning. And so the morning of, I see a message from my best friend from college. I have 2 best friends from college because they're twins. So it's just kind of how it is when they're twins. And so the one, actually, Linda, was like, so do you need a chaperone for that trip? And I jokingly around said, hey, sure, if you want to come along, that's fine. And that bitch was up. And she literally was like, no, I'm serious. I'll come along if you want me to. And she lives in Spicer, Minnesota. So is something wrong, Aaron?
It's all good.
It's all good? What was that face for?
I pushed a button.
Oh, all right. And so literally right at the last minute, and I'm thinking, is this really happening? Is this really happening? But it was all really for the, like, it was awesome because, she ended up driving from Spicer. And I got to road trip with my best friend from college all the way to Chicago. And I love Linda. She is Minnesotan. She is, you can totally hear the accent when she's talking. And she's mouthy, and I have just always thought Linda. Of course, her twin sister's name is Lisa. Not of course, but because that's just not obvious. But there it again. I'm sounding like a tool. But she ended up going with, and I realized, we had eaten and stuff like that. So it wasn't until, and I kind of just like to trip it. Like I just want to get all the way there and be done with it. But we were getting close to Madison, and I thought, you know what? I'd like to get out and stretch my legs, so to speak, and do something. And Uno, which used to be here in the Twin Cities, Uno Pizzeria.
Never heard of it.
Okay, well, they used to be here. I love their pizza. I'm not a deep dish pizza person, but Uno's pizza is so delicious. It's from Chicago. So, and that's in Madison. It's always been right along the highway. So I was thinking to myself, you know what? I'm going to stop. I told Linda, we're going to stop. We're going to get Uno. She'd never heard of Uno, which this was no surprise. And so regardless, or anyways, but then I realized, oh my God, my friend Susan worked in Madison. She lived here, but then her and her boyfriend Jacob ended up moving to Madison, and they opened a jewelry store there called Gruno's. Well, they're managing the store. Jacob is some like watch person, like one of maybe like 6 people in the world that's like certified for like watches. It's really kind of insane what he knows. I'm too stupid to understand it, frankly. Would you call it a watchier? Like he's a sommelier, but with watches? Or timepieces, a timepiecier? But anyways, no, he's super, super smart. And he always wears that thing over his eye. Which makes me then think about Teen Wolf. I haven't watched Teen Wolf in a long time. I wonder if the season was over and maybe that's why. It can't be, though. Regardless, I'm digressing. Teen Wolf is a great show. I love that show. Do you watch Teen Wolf?
No.
That's unfortunate. It's a great show. Anyways, it's on MTV, which, believe it or not, it's just kind of crazy for me. It's super hot, though, which maybe... But, I mean, do you like action shit?
It doesn't look like it would appeal to me.
Oh, okay. Just because of the hot guys.
That, and I'm just not into that.
But there's hot women in that show.
Vampires, werewolves. Stuff.
Oh, sure. I'm totally into all of that. Underworld, all that kind of stuff. So, regardless, so Linda ended up going with me, and I contacted Susan and said, hey, I called the store. She picked up the phone, which was just the universe spreading its legs. And she's like, is this who I think it is? And I said, yes. And then I said, she's like, are you on your way to Chicago? I said, actually, I'm going to be in Madison in like 30 minutes. And I was going to go to Uno for lunch right on the highway there. I said I was going to go to Uno for lunch. She says, well, it's right by my store. I said, oh, are there 2 locations? Because I was going to go to the one off the highway. And she goes, no, that one isn't there anymore. She said, there's just the one by where I work. And I said, oh. She goes, you need to stop by my store. You need to see me, blah, 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 blah. So then she didn't say blah, 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 blah. I'm just, saying that because we all say that. But regardless. Oh, ha, ha, right, ha, ha, ha. And so ended up going and seeing her. I love Susan. She totally gets the marketing, aspect of everything. And work and promoting, and like she's always on fire. It's a beautiful store, gorgeous. I have never seen so many amazing gems in my life. I tried on a $13,000 watch. It was amazing. Yeah, I deserve that. I'm just saying, I'm going to put that out there into the universe.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah, well, that would take, Santa would have to like really ball up to bring that for me. It was a Rolex, and it had a diamond bezel, which means that's the kind of the circle around the face itself. And then the face was mother of pearl. So it was kind of shiny, but it had all those different colors in it, which I really can't see, but I have always been told are cool. So I thought, oh, this must look really cool. So we ended up going out to Uno, which was fantastic. And then Linda and I ended up heading over to Chicago, got to Chicago, and stayed with my friend Charlie and his partner Barry. So nice. They have a 2-bedroom in Chicago. I was just like, oh my God. Not only do I have my own bed to sleep in, Linda and I slept in the same bed. And but we had our own bathroom. It was crazy. And we stayed in Edgewater. They live 2 blocks off of the lake. Not that mattered because the weather, I mean, it's the winter, so it's not like you want to go to the lake at this time of year in
Looks
Chicago.
nice.
Yeah. And but Edgewater's great. And what was nice is that it's north of downtown. Before, when I used to go, I used to always stay with my friend who lived in Hyde Park. And I would always have to deal with so much traffic. So this way I got to go I didn't have to deal with really any of that. I don't think I ran into actually any traffic. The only issue traffic-wise, so to speak, was just the fact that once you finally got off of the highway, it kind of took a little bit of a drive to get to Charlie and Barry's, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, and the tolls, I think maybe I even skipped a couple of tolls, which was kind of nice. And my iPass, I was so waiting, and it came in at the last. Again, it's just the universe just kept sending love and light to me, because instead of stopping and having to sit in traffic to pay for your tolls, because as soon as you hit Illinois, there's tolls.
Right.
I got the iPass, which sits in your window, and then you can just drive right through, and then it just automatically blow through it.
Nice.
Exactly. I like it when you blow through it.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going out for, well, Charlie made us some cocktails, which is exactly what I loved, and we had to sit and wait around for a little bit. I was getting some Grey Goose delivered because I figured I'd pick that up in Chicago. So I was waiting for that to get delivered, and I love that because they just deliver shit to your house in Chicago. I mean, serious, it was the greatest thing. So we're waiting around for that to get delivered. And then Barry was tired. He wanted to go to bed. So then we ended up going to this total dive hole in the wall. I don't remember what it was called, but if we're friends on Facebook, you would have seen me check in, or you can go back to my wall and check it in. And they had these little fireplaces in there. It was dark. It was cheesy. It was totally me. I loved it. We had these blue cheeseburgers that were topped with, I don't know if they mixed blue cheese with mayonnaise or what it was, but it was fucking delicious.
I love blue cheese.
Oh my God, it was so good. And I just had a Stella to drink, and it was wonderful. And it was nice being able to connect with Charlie again. He's actually from here, originally from Zumbrota. He's a twin, which was it's so funny. I didn't even realize it. I knew he was a twin, but I hadn't put the connection together that not only was he a twin, but Linda was a twin. And here they were, you know what I mean? So they totally got off on that twin conversation. And then, of course, I was social networking and looking at shit. So, but we ended up going home. I was tired. And it really was such a beautiful, I mean, we could walk there. It was such a beautiful, beautiful night, so to speak. Beautiful for us as Scandinavians, if that makes any sense. If you're from Florida, you probably would have thought it was cold as shit. So I ended up waking up at 4 o'clock, as I usually do, and just kind of laid there for a while, thinking, oh my God, is this going to go okay? Like, what's going to happen? Is everything going to go okay? And then I had to tell myself, you know what? I have to just let this happen. I have to remember to be myself. I've got to remember that I've been doing this now for almost 3 years, actually being consistently on TV. And I have to let this, whatever happens, I have to let whatever happens be okay. Like, if it's not good, I have to know that this is, because this is what I had said to the producer in the beginning, which is my ultimate goal is to be on with you guys regularly. If you like what I'm doing, I want to be on regularly. And he's like, well, I'm not going to promise you anything, which is what I mean, I love that direct approach. And so got up, got ready. I did something to the fucking shower curtain. I think I just touched it and it fell while I was taking a shower. That was very embarrassing. I was in there by myself, of course, but still I was like, holy shit, like, how does this happen to me? Is this an omen? But Linda and I got ready. Charlie was wonderful. Said, well, hope everything goes okay, and I'll be watching, blah, 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 blah. And Linda and I left the house. I locked myself out, actually. Luckily, she was still inside the house, so I was able to get back in. But I ended up driving to the station. It was just so convenient. We stopped at Target quick before because I needed to pick up. Actually, no, we didn't. We stopped at Target afterwards. I knew that I needed to get some ice, and I was coming from a different direction, and there was a Starbucks. I wanted to go to the Starbucks at the Target by WGN, but I asked the people at Starbucks if they'd give me some ice, and they were lovely, and they gave me 2 cups of ice. So then I had enough ice to make my Moscow Mules, which was lovely, and I didn't have to buy it. I tipped them, by the way, just so everybody knows. And anyway, so got to the station and was a little nervous, actually. I was thinking, oh, my God, this is actually happening. This is happening. And there was a guy there, actually, who had been there. I'd seen through Instagram, had been there before. He looked so familiar, and then I realized, oh, I'd seen him on Instagram before. And he was there with his partner, and I don't really know what it is that he does. I think maybe he's kind of like me. He talks about entertaining and stuff. But I'm like entertaining with Funyuns, and he's like entertaining with, prime rib. So that's kind of the difference between him and I. I may say prime rib, but I want to encrust it with Funyuns or Doritos or something.
Sounds awesome.
Doesn't that sound good? And so I'm totally trashy. Trashy classy, I think, is going to be my claim to fame, which is fine because that's what's delicious. Hand me one of those mangaritas, too, while you're at it, or the lime-maritas. I want Budweiser to please sponsor me a year's supply of those things. I still haven't gotten the cranberry ones, which are seasonal. I should pick some of those up today, actually. If you haven't had those are delicious. Have you had those?
I haven't. A cranberry-ta, though, sounds like a good Christmassy drink.
Yeah, the apple ones are delicious, too. They're like an apple cidery. They're so good. So got there, and the guy, I don't remember actually what they would be called, but, stagehand, who knows? It's the guy who basically had to meet me, and that was actually, now that I have to think back a little bit, and I'm going to ramble, listen, you're going to have to hear all of this shit. So the guy who I'd seen before, was his boyfriend was bringing everything in, if that gives you any indication about what he was like. He wasn't carrying anything in. And then I walked in, and the security guard, because you got to get buzzed in. You got to get it buzzed in at Fox too. But this security guard, man, I looked at her and I thought, okay, I can tell she don't fuck around. You don't talk unless she asks you a question. So then I stood there, and she's like, name. And I said, Ross Swayback. And she goes, oh, I see you here. She goes, I'm helping him right now. And I said, oh, I know. Don't worry. And she goes, okay. She goes, well, when I'm done helping him, I said, well, I know. I've been here before. And I just kind of pointed back to where the door. She goes, oh, you know about the door back there? She said to go back to that door. And I said, yes, I've been there many times. She goes, you go right on back there. She says, I will send someone back there to take care of you then. And I thought, okay, she knows I'm not going to be like Miss Thing over here, who literally was like, where's my cart? Twice while I was standing there. I'm thinking, this is not how you get in with these people. And regardless, hopefully this person isn't listening. So ended up going back there, and they brought the card. It was very tiny or whatever, but we got everything on there. But this guy was kind of like, I'd been there before, so I was like, oh, do you want to go here or whatever? And he goes, we'll go where I'm going. Okay. And I'm like, yes, whatever. I put my hands up, just like, don't shoot kind of a deal. I'm like, no, wherever. I'm totally not remembering exactly where I guess I am. It's totally fine, whatever. And then he brought us over. And as we were getting there, I saw the producer coming towards me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. This is kind of like, what is going to happen now? And he got this huge smile on his face, and he goes, Ross, you're here. And I was like, Jeff, thank you so much for this opportunity. I did not gesticulate the way that I did right now. Have you heard that word, gesticulate? This is
make
called
a gesture.
Right. This is called gesticulating. I didn't make that word up.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's like gesture and testicle put together almost, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
genital.
okay.
It's
All
a genitalish word, I guess. But anyways, this is called gesticulating. And so I didn't do this, but I was like, thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. I appreciate the opportunity, blah, 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 blah. And then I have to be honest with you. Everything happened. And I was aware of everything that was going on. But it wasn't until I was done and in the parking lot that I realized what had just happened.
You seemed very calm and just like yourself. And
You mean on the show?
I thought you did a really good job. Yeah.
Thank you. Could you tell that I was actually a little reserved? No, you couldn't?
No.
I actually, I'm the wild one here on Fox. I'm not used to being, I'm used to being the wild one, but to me, well, so here's what happened. He was super, super nice. He ended up, walking over with me to go to like where the guy was bringing me or whatever. And was like, no, we're super cool. I'm so excited to have you on the show, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I just kept thinking, wow, that's so nice. Well, like, thank you. And this other person that I had seen at the door, like grabs one of the items that I had and was fondling it, literally stroking it. It was this UGG tote that was like a red tartan plaid, not a tartan plaid, but a buffalo check kind of a plaid thing. Well, you watched it, so I don't know. Maybe you remember. He was literally stroking it like it was his dick, and or his boyfriend's dick. All due respect, if you're listening, forgive me. They're gonna hear this one day, and they're gonna hate me. And but he looked at his boyfriend and he goes, you see what I want, Daddy? And I was like, oh my God, like I'm my own daddy, and So, and his boyfriend, whatever, he was like, yes, that's very nice. And then he saw the boots and was talking about that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I said, it's really nice shit, And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to show you those fucking headphones. So I like, look at this shit. So then I pulled out the 24K headphones. And he's like, holy shit, those are awesome. I'm like, I know they're awesome. And but I noticed boyfriend's daddy checking me out. And I purposefully wore something super tight. I wanted to come face forward on that segment with sex. I'm not denying it. I'm bringing the sex element to men's gifts. Why not?
Nice. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you have to sit down and get your makeup done before you do something like that?
I actually put my makeup on. I don't know how it works like at the Today Show. Or big shows like that. But I know from being at WGN and being at Fox like that, you have to do all that yourself. People don't do that for you anymore. Back in the day, they used to have makeup people taking care of you. But most shows now, you have to do your own makeup. And I just put powder on just to take away the shine is all. So I don't know. In fact, I'm thinking about like Tom Butler at Fox or Cody. I think all they use is just a pressed powder. So, which is, again, you're just doing it to take the shine away is all. So that way the camera's not like, you don't look like, I don't know what, a
Like
piece
a
of
wax
gold or
person.
something. Right. But so I started unpacking my shit because I had roughly, from my thought process, I had 45 minutes to unpack all my shit. I had 24 Moscow Mule mugs to unpack because each one is individually wrapped. And I had to do it with gloves on because I didn't want to touch them. If you touch them, they'll begin to tarnish. Okay. And because I knew that when it was done, I was going to rewrap them up again so that way they don't tarnish. I want to keep those looking pristine, flawless. Remember? That was my word, flawless. Didn't I use that with you once? That's the life that's the life I live. It's flawless. Anyways, I don't know why I'm coming up with that. I came up with it somewhere. Don't know where it is, but that's something I'm starting to hashtag too. But so I knew that I had to do all that. I had to make 4 Moscow mules. And which I was thinking more than enough time to do all that stuff. So I started unpacking. Well, then dude who walked me in and was kind of telling me where to go and kept correcting me on what I was doing, he goes, I'm putting you on that table over there. And I says, oh, okay, whatever. And so then I started moving my stuff over there. And he's like, now just be careful. Be careful where you put things on that table, because I have to roll that table in, and they're union. So you can't, as soon as you they're the ones that have to move the tables. They're the ones that have to pick things up. You can't touch anything, so to speak. And I learned that when I was there before. So all this was going on. Again, I was pulling all my stuff off, and I don't know what happened with What's-His-Toes. He was kind of off, but boyfriend was talking with someone else, and then that person started touching my things, and people started touching my mugs, and I was a little pissed. Just going to be honest with you. But I thought, I'm not going to be like Mariah Carey. I'm totally going to be like, whatever. You like that? I'm used to saying that, you like that? And but this whole time, the producer kept coming up to me about every 5 minutes. How you doing? You doing okay? Everything looks great. I love it. Looks good. We're still doing it in this order, right? And I'm so excited to have you back. And I just kept, wow, how wild is that he keeps coming back to. He didn't go to anybody else. It was me. He kept coming up to me. And ended up getting, they wheeled. Oh, and he said to me, this was the funny thing, like right before they were going to wheel me in, he goes, now I just want you to know I put you with Paul and Pat, and I expect you to ride them hard. And I said, excuse me? And he goes, I've put you with them because they know how to banter. And I said, oh. I said, well, I'm assuming, I know you're really busy, but you've probably maybe watched one or two of my clips since I reached out to you or whatever. And he goes, listen, I've seen the naked pictures of you on Facebook. I figured he's a good fit for our show. That's why you're here. I said, oh. He goes, yeah, oh. I'm like, all right, well, then let's bring it. And that's where I got kind of, so I went in and started to take stuff off, meaning, the cart, not my clothes. And ended up putting, stacking everything and trying to, because you got to put things in, and then what you have to do is you have to step back and start looking at it, because the camera, you got to see what the camera's going to see, and make sure that as it pans, you can see everything, that it has a good angle everywhere. And you have no room. Like the studio at WGN is half the size of the studio we have at Fox. It's so small, and I never noticed that before, because of course I'd been at Fox, but I had never been on Fox that much for me to kind of know. But it's so small, and it's weird to think that you've got millions of people watching this station from this tiny little room. And so I ended up getting everything ready, whatever, and I see the two dudes who are going to be on with me. They're totally not interacting with me or anything, but I knew who they were. And I knew the one for sure from when I'd been on WGN before. And so they're getting kind of ready or whatever, and just before the spot starts, sorry about that, I turned my head. Just before the spot starts, whatever, producer comes over and he says, hey, I got a question to ask you. Come here. He walks over, and we're over, probably 10 feet away. And he's like, I see how you've got those Grey Goose bottles. He's like, are they paying you? And I said, no. I said, it's just that I did a Moscow Mule with each one of those flavors. And so I'm using those as examples. And he goes, okay. And literally at that point in time, the segment starts. We're still off. I'm not on camera. And I'm thinking, this is no big deal, because at Fox, whenever my segments start, it's usually Keith or even Kelly or Alex, and they're talking about the weather, and so you don't see anything. They go live. You're literally on. And so he goes, okay, whatever. He goes, well, that's good to know. I needed to make sure. And I said, no, I totally get it. And then I just kind of and you don't see this on the clip because they edited it, to start after I was already in the screen or in the whatever you would call it. And so I just kind of walked away. into it. Was like, okay, well, I guess here we go. And so Pat was talking about, men's gifts, blah, 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 blah. I started out, ended up featuring, the Monster 24K headphones, which, I love. And I mean, there's just nothing more glamorous than having, gold all over your head. And they loved those. And Pat had to say something about how he was a DJ up and down the New Jersey shoreline, whatever. And which I could see him doing that. He's actually pretty fucking cute. And then went on to feature the Gramavox, which was my kind of local angle when I pitched it, because the gentlemen the guys that actually developed that product are from Chicago. They live in Chicago. And it's like taking a gramophone, a gramophone horn, so to speak, and which is an old-timey music listening device, so to speak, from years ago, if you've never heard of a gramophone before. And they ended up turning it into a wireless Bluetooth, whatever wireless Bluetooth is a little redundant, I guess, speaker. So what was really awesome about that is that I was able to play music through it. It was a Frank Sinatra song. Pat started singing along with it, which is gold. That is just fucking television gold when they do stuff like that. And I put on the headphones, even with the 24K. Pat put the headphones on. So that was gold. You want all that interaction. Like, you start pinging. And I was seeing it, But again, you're in the moment. You've got to, like, get your shit done. And you're like, I need to make sure that I know these things are happening. But you've got to keep your calm, and whatever. And so I started talking about the Moscow Mules, and then I remembered that I needed to mention that all of the products had free shipping, because that's important to people. And then I brought up the angle about how, but I it's not free shipping with me if you'd like to have me for Christmas. And the producer, like the entire room, they started laughing and going crazy. And he, was like encouraging me to continue on with it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go with this. So then I just literally went, as I would say, I just went balls deep in the whole thing and was like, all right, I'm going for this. And so I got, kind of really dirty or whatever, and was talking about how I'm single and stuff like that. And it went really well, like what he wanted from me to do was to kind of sell that I'm a present too, like if you'd like to have a piece of me for Christmas. And then ended up after the mugs, which are actually, I didn't get a chance, which is like, sometimes you leave a spot and you're like, I feel so incredibly guilty because you need to hit your points. And I totally never mentioned the company that makes those Moscow Mule mugs, which is called Paykoch. It's pronounced Paykoch, but it's spelled Paykoc, imports.com. They're the ones who make the mugs or import the mugs. They're these gorgeous hammered copper Moscow Mule mugs. I mean, they're amazing. And they're 15% off right now, so they're like $30 a pop, which is what that's what a copper mug costs. And so made a huge tower of those. Ended up using Grey Goose vodka, of course. Then went to UGG, featured their boots. They did a capsule collection this year with Pendleton. And so you've got, bags with Pendleton woolen mills on them, and of course, Pendleton blankets on the boots themselves. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then finished it up with these these skull replicas made by a company called Bone Clones. And then that's where, of course, Pat started talking about his bone. It's like, holy shit. Like, that's where I was like, oh my God, like, I can act. And I wasn't prepared for that. I was totally caught off guard, Aaron, because I can act on that show like I act here. Obviously, I can't swear, but I can literally just let it all hang out because that's what they want. So it threw me off, and I was thinking, oh my God, I wasn't as crazy and wild as I needed to be. But as soon as the segment was done, I was tearing stuff down. I started taking stuff down right away because I'm just used to that. And the producer came over and he said, listen, here's the deal. I'm leaving. I'm going to go cut this clip right now myself. I'm going to email it to you. We're going to get it online. He said, that was gold. That was gold. And I said, seriously? He goes, no. He's like, I was watching the numbers. Our ratings were like going through the roof. And I said, oh my God, that's crazy. So I said, do you want to take a Moscow Mule with you? He goes, I would love to. And so he took, a cocktail with him to go do it. And I ended up tearing down. And of course, the guy, had to make sure to let me know he was wheeling everything out and what direction I needed to go, blah, blah, blah. I was like, fine, whatever. And we ended up taking everything down, bringing it out to the hallway and getting all those mule mugs rewrapped again. And Jeff wasn't coming back. And so I was thinking, well, you know what? I thought I'm going to leave. And this will just be a reason for me to come back, believe it or not. I'm going to use that as my reason to come back because he has to get me my Moscow Mule mug back. I'm going to drive 6.5 hours again, just for that fucking mug. And Linda was in the bathroom. She was like awesome. And just so grateful that she came along with me to experience all of it. And I thought, you know what? We're going to leave here and we're just going to end up hitting the road. So I should probably go to the bathroom myself. So I did. When I came out, he was talking with Linda. And I had no idea until afterwards what they had talked about. But he said, okay, I've got an idea for your next spot on our show. And I was like,
Next spot.
Right. That's exactly what I heard, Aaron. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I said, really? And he goes, yes. He goes, you're definitely going to be on our show. And I said, that is incredible. Thank you so much. And this was to me a defining moment in my career. One of many that have happened, of course. But he said, here's the deal. He said, I get what you're doing. I get it. And he said, it's unfortunate to me that Fox doesn't get what you do. He goes, because what you do, it's amazing. And he goes, what the good part, he's like, is that's a benefit for me? He said, so let me help you. Will you let me help you go national? Exactly, Aaron. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah. He said, I want to take you national. Whoa. And I was like, I literally said, fuck yes. I said, if you want to help me, he goes, no, here's the deal. My goal is to have you on every week. He said, we have people that are on every week. They're just known. They're part of our core crew. And he says, and those people, they're sponsored. He said, we've got one guy, he said, Chevy sponsors him. He pays for the segments, and Chevy pays them. The guy as well. He said, that's how he makes his money. He said, I want to do that for you. And I said, I have no words to say back to that. It's like someone is handing you the gift that you have been working for. It's not like I was asking to be handed something that I didn't, dare I say, I didn't deserve. I mean, everybody that works their ass off deserves, as far as their career is concerned. And I said, I have no words to respond to that. He said, you don't need to. He says, you've worked your ass off. He said, this is what you have been working for. I will take you there. And I was just like, oh my God. I said, thank you. This means the world to me. He goes, you just keep doing the shit you do, which is, I love the mouth on him. And he said, and we will make this happen. I said, done, because I can bring it. He goes, oh, I know you can bring it. He says, I'm not worried about that. So we ended up leaving. Linda and I cried in the car. It's just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then I emailed him and thanked him for the opportunity. And he said, this is just as much of an opportunity for me as it is for you. He's like, our viewers love you. He said, you're the perfect fit for our show. There's no one else that does what you do. And that is huge in media. You have to be different. And so, yeah, that's
great.
That's amazing. Like that, I couldn't have asked for a better magic wand, Aaron.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I said that to him that. Oh, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because then I just responded and said, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And then when he responded to me again, which I wasn't expecting, he said, I just got out of our meeting. He said, everybody thinks you're fantastic and we can't wait to have you back. Seriously, we will see you in a couple weeks. And so I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock. So it was crazy. And Monster ended up putting on their social that, they ended up sharing the segment with their social media following. And, they got a hold of me. They're like, listen, we're going to be out at the Consumer Electronics Show. We would like to, potentially sponsor you and have you come out. Would you be willing to come out? Can you come out? I'm like, fuck yes, I can come out. And so, there's a possibility that I might be doing a podcast out there. I know that this is something that Scott and I have talked about already.
Do I get to go?
I don't know. You know what? I guess that would be something for him to talk about, because that might be a possibility, actually. Because I'm certain you could stay in the room with me. There's going to be 2 beds in there. Don't go there, Aaron. See, now you want me.
No.
But it's supposed to be because I have the opportunity to interview Christina Milian.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because Sarah, who's my contact at Monsters, she said she's our ambassador for the CES show. She said, so would you have interest in interviewing her? And I said, oh fuck, of course I would. That's not a problem for me. I would totally do that. So maybe, if she's not married,
Milian.
do you? I have to readily admit I don't really know much about her. I know she's gorgeous. So it's just all these things that are happening. It's insane. And I finally feel, when you do work for nothing and you're constantly wondering, why doesn't anybody want to pay me? Like, why doesn't anybody do people not get my value? Like, am I doing something wrong? Is it the naked photos? I thought my naked photo of me holding that cologne was very artsy. I mean, seriously, Aaron, do I not look good? I mean, listen, I'm fit. I think it looked good. You're supposed to validate me.
Yep.
Okay. But I know that I can be abrasive and just thought, well, whatever. This is going to be my chance. I'm going to see if this works or not. And I need to be me. And luckily, me is okay. Me is what they want. And I think that's such a weird place to be, because since I've gotten back, or since that moment, so to speak, I'm totally having my Oprah aha moment. Do you know that ever since that happened, Aaron, I have not questioned my value once. I feel so fucking comfortable with who I am. And so I don't have to worry about being or pretending to be anybody else but me, because me is enough.
That's
It's taken me fucking forever to figure that shit out. But at least I'm not dead. Well, I couldn't figure it out if I was dead, but you know what I'm saying. At least I'm not in a wheelchair where I can't enjoy life now. So, yeah, so hopefully, all good things. I'm super excited. The Consumer Electronics Show is the 4th through the 9th, I think, of January. So it's really, really close. And that's out in Vegas. So I think that would be a lot of fun. Staying at the Hard Rock Hotel, which is where we would stay.
Nice.
She's like, we're not doing the Venetian this year. I'm like, I don't really give a shit, because I want to see all these electronics. Because to me, you got a press pass, you're on TV. Yeah, they're like giving shit to you.
I've
Like,
got some Monster
you're getting
electronics.
tablets, right? You're getting Monster headphones. They're like giving you televisions. It's just like, well, here's my address. Send it to me. That's literally how that stuff happens. I'm not kidding you. That is literally like someone just opens this huge swag door to you, and they're just handing stuff to you.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
No, oh my God, no. So it would be fantastic if you could go. And then that way you could experience it. Yeah,
Meet
you could be
Christina
my
Milian.
bitch. Right. I'd say this is my assistant. Now, I would say this is my producer. So, and that actually might be a really great, now that I'm thinking about this out loud, from a sponsor's perspective, especially with everything that we're doing here, that actually might be a really great thing for us to go out there together. so that way people can see us. Because I really, Aaron, even though the show, and I think a lot of people look at it this way too, is that even though the show is technically my show, so to speak, and I mean that very humbly, I think people see, I see this as our show.
Come on.
No, I really do. I really do. Because I can't do the show without you. And you add an element that no one else can bring.
The guy that turns on the computer and
That is not all you do. You do so much more than just that. So I do, seriously, I really appreciate having you as my producer. I think you're fucking amazing.
Well, thanks. We appreciate having you here.
Yes. So anyway, I don't know where I'm at time-wise.
55 minutes.
Okay, so we're basically almost at an hour. So let me just kind of finish up my pimping. Today on Fox, I also did men's gifts as well. I want to do a little bit, and literally, it's a little bit of more homegrown, local Minnesota-made type of a thing. So please, please, please check out some of these really fantastic brands. One is Itasca Leather Goods. You know, you think about handmade. You know, my friend Paul and his partner own this company. Absolutely gorgeous, like fucking gorgeous handmade leather goods. They do make things for women as well. I'm a total fanatic about the things that they do for men. I shared this duffel. Oh my! The fact, and it was so funny because Keith asked what it cost, and I says, "Well, it's roughly like $400." He goes, "Yeah, that's an investment." What's so funny is, of course, in Chicago, that's like nothing. Like they're like, "Well, why isn't that $4,000?" Because it would be in Chicago, and so in the grand scheme of things, a $400, and seriously, it's like this big, you know.
Like big enough to park your car in.
Oh, you totally could park your car in it. And so for $400 for it's a handmade leather, and it's not thin leather, it's like thick leather, gorgeous, cognac colored deliciousness is what it is. I can't imagine any gay or straight man not going, "Oh my God, do you want to like have sex right now? Like, what do you want from me? Because I love you for getting this bag for me." The other thing, I featured their planners, as well as their slippers, which are they're like an, I don't necessarily want to say an UGG-like, but they've got the fur on the outside, which I think is so unique and interesting. You know, the shearling is on the outside instead of just on the inside. It is on the inside as well, but they kind of use the shearling as a decoration accent, so to speak. But the one other product that they had, not that the others aren't gorgeous and lovely and wonderful, but check out it's called a Hatchie. I just fucking love the name of it. It's their boot chukka shoe dealish thing, but the sole is it's leather. It's not a sole. I mean, it's a sole, but it's not like a rubber sole or like a sole that you're used to. But you can wear them at all times of the year. You can get them wet. Outside, totally fine. They're like $250 for these shoes, which again, in the grand scheme of things, a pair of Red Wing shoes, which you see all the time, and that's local Minnesota company. You know, those are going to be setting you back $300 to $400 for a pair of those. And so very reasonable. Again, I know that that's a lot of money, but you're looking at shoes that, I'm not kidding you, Paul, the ones I saw Paul wearing, because I'm like, what the fuck? Do you make those shoes too? And he goes, yeah. He says, I wear these every day, and I've worn them every day. I think it was like for 5 or 6 years. You could barely see the wear on the bottom of the shoes. It was insane. And he goes, and I wear them during the winter too. I mean, it was crazy. So, but it's called a Hatchie. I showed this camo style because they had like an orange strip in the back, which I thought was really just kind of a funny design, a really neat design accent. And then they also in this pebble leather, which looks almost crocodile-ish, so to speak. So gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I'm going to be sharing more of those pieces on social media. And then I shared this great company that I found called Anda. They've got an Etsy shop. It's ANDA. It's a guy named Andy and his wife. You can find them also on Facebook. Please look up these brands on social media as well. And he was really frustrated. Not really frustrated, but, you know, I mean, listen, not everybody's got millions of dollars to, buy whole new clothes all the time. And so thick ties had gone out, thin ties, of course, that's how it always goes in the fashion world. And all of a sudden, thick ties go to thin ties. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't have enough money to go out and get all new ties again. So he taught himself how to sew and then turned his thick ties into thin ties. Which, as he readily admitted, was a lot more difficult than he anticipated. But throughout that journey, realized that there was a void in the market for guys' ties that weren't silk. So he's created a collection, and he's fucking gorgeous. Like, he's competition for you. I just need you to know that. But he's married. You're not. You're still available. But out of wools and linens and cottons to give texture, to give your outfit some texture, your wardrobe some texture. His ties are like $12 to $20. Super affordable. I mean, don't you think that's affordable, Aaron?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I mean, for a handmade product, hand fucking made. So check out his brand. Both of those were my Made in Minnesota brands. Do you have something you want to say?
No.
Oh, you look like you were going to say something. I also featured a company that I found online. I was asked to be the master of ceremonies for the Cupid's Undie Run, which is on February 13th. Your ass better be there. There's no excuse I'm not listening.
Can you wear a T-shirt?
You can. If you want to, you totally can. And you don't have to wear underwear, But I thought it would be funny when they asked me, and of course, then I said yes right away. I thought it would be funny to try and see if I could find a pair of underwear that was made out of sweater material.
I did see those on your Facebook page.
Oh my God! I found them within 5 minutes, and they have got a coffee cup on the crotch, and on the back it says "Coffee, Tea, or Me." And so I ended up getting those, but also I found on their website this thing called a Manzy, which is like a Snuggie for a dude, and that was like $80 for the Snuggie. Or the Manzy, so to speak. Company's called bodyaware.com. They've got a lot of other things. I think mostly the Manzy is what would apply to most men. But and then I featured Nespresso's new Vertuo line, Evoluo. I'm trying to sound very fancy when I say that. But the Vertuo line is Nespresso's version of making a tall cup coffee. So that way, which I know they lectured me and said they didn't just make that for men, they made that for the American market. Well, a friend of mine who worked for Nespresso had told me they specifically made it for the men in the American market because men wanted a tall cup coffee. So it gives you that espresso crema that you normally associate on an espresso, but on a tall cup coffee, which it's just so luxurious. There's just something that makes me feel so fucking special when I have that every day. And then the last thing, those are actually on sale too, by the way, free shipping. The gray and the red, I think I saw online for like $140, normally $250 for one of these things. And you get a set of 12 pods with them. And then the other colors were like $170, I think. Oprah chose it as a favorite thing, which she didn't really, but her people chose it. And then the last thing that I featured, which Ellen actually also chose as one of her favorite things, is the new Personal Vitamix. They did come out with one last year, but they updated it, the S55 model. And so it has preset settings on it, which makes it perfect. The reason I wanted to show it is because my daughter's been doing a lot of smoothies. And she always, and as I have a Vitamix, but her smoothies are always too much. Like she's has to put it in a big old cup. And what's great about the S55 is that not only does it have the carafe kind of blender top thing with the handle that you would normally associate with a blender, but you can switch that out with a smoothie cup. So that way it will literally just make it in a regular size smoothie cup.
Nice.
And when you're done, you just pop it upside down. You put the smoothie top on it with the pop open the top and you can drink it right then and there. I'm like, that is fucking... I wanted to make... You know what, Aaron? It's like my Stones candles. It's that kind of $1 million idea. The candles that smell like locker rooms. I'm going to make so much fucking money off of those, and you're going to laugh at, or you're going to be like, why didn't I think of that? And I'll be like, I'm rich and you're not. That's what's going to happen. So I got other ideas in my head. I've got a cologne idea already in my head. The name of it even. I'm going to be global. And then you have to, well, you're going to be my producer. So maybe you'll be my manager. You could be my manager. So anyway, last thing that I'll talk about is check me out. Make sure that if you're listening to me on iTunes or on Spreaker, please like it, please rate it, please share it with everybody that you know that has a heartbeat. Even if they're on life support, please let everybody know.
It might help.
Right, exactly. I just want as much love as possible. And check out the other shows on the Alive and Social Network. I greatly appreciate it. Like me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. And if you get a chance, check out my spot on WGNTV.com. It really was hilarious. I mean, I think it really was just so much fun, and there's so much life to that crew there. Such an honor to be with them. And lastly, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a blab at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to have my friend Christina on, who is a medium/intuitive. We'll be on for, I'd say an hour. I'm going to be talking about her journey, and we'll also be answering questions if anybody's going to have any questions. It's one of the reasons we wanted to blab. So if there's something that you would like to know about your life, if you've ever wanted to ask a psychic/medium/intuitive a question, by all means, get on there. You can also listen to it via Spreaker. You don't have to watch it on Blab, but you can if you want to. So have a fantastic day, everybody. Oh, one last thing we do have to share, which is my earworm of the week, Aaron.
I got it.
Which is perfect timing. This describes my entire week. It is Madonna's. This is actually how we'll go out. How about that?
Right.
It's Madonna's Celebration. So seriously, everybody, live life to the fullest. Squeak every single drop of life out of it, because you're only on this road once. Take care. I love you guys.
It's a celebration. Everybody just won't do. Let's get this started. No more hesitation.